Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back once again for some more Monday Evening Madness here at Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. This is, of course, PlayStation Tier 1 for round number 5 of Season 41, the penultimate race of 2025. And we arrive on an absolute bombshell. Alex Lofer, 3 wins from 4 to start the season, has defected to PC, blowing this championship race wide open. Personally, find it a little bit difficult to understand why you would sign up for a season, complete a third of it, and then go to the other platform. But we'll ignore all of that because his exit does give us one hell of a title fight. The top 5 covered now by just 3 points as we roll into this glorified go-kart track that is the Austrian Grand Prix at Spielberg. Venue built for wheel-to-wheel chaos, I think we can agree. And occasionally, a few fireworks right at the front as well. This should be a crackerjack. We had some really interesting battles in Monaco 7 days ago. It wasn't always the cleanest, it has to be said, but it was a lot of fun. And hopefully this will be more of the same. Your virtual commentary box, once again this evening, filled by myself, Tom Wilkinson, and Otaku Logan. Logan, how are you doing on this, well, where I am, a slightly miserable Monday evening?
I am doing fantastic, thank you. I am not been sleeping much because I can't wait for this track. It's Austria, probably one of my favourite tracks in the game and on the calendar. The Red Bull Ring, which as obviously gives you a hint who owns the track, is one of the shortest and fastest and less complex circuits on the calendar, but it is, of course, as I've just said, one of my favourites and one of most of the drivers' favourites as well. It's wide, it's full of attacking opportunities. It is very fast, and it could mean we have a exciting race in prospect for tonight, despite the disappearance of our championship leader, Alex Lofer, who had three of the first 3 races won, and then a second place, and then leaving immediately after, meaning that the driver, 36 points behind Dirk on 27, is now our championship leader, and his teammate Van de Geest, also in the V-Carb, is also on 27, but as he doesn't have a win and Dirk does, Dirk has the lead on count back. There's also Tony Richet in a Ferrari, 2 third places. Didn't start in Monaco, but he's on 26 points. And Volokongan and Mercedes on 25 in the Mercedes with a 3rd place finish in Monaco. They are your top 4 now. Well, actually, even a Skreek, I can't count out either. He got 2nd place in the first round and was the teammate of Alex Lofer. But as we know, he's just been left in the dust. But his teammate is going to take over, and that is now Jordan, who is going to take Alex Lofer's seat. So the top 5 separated by 3 points. But remember, it is early days. There's 7 rounds to go.
100%. So much still to play for. But like you said, the complexion that we've got now that Alex Lofer has bid farewell, incredibly exciting. Dirk, it was a brilliant performance last week in Monaco, it has to be said. He outfoxed and outraced Alex Lofer to pick up his first win of the season, his first spot on the podium as well, that has propelled him right to the summit, alongside his V-Carb teammate, Mats van der Geest. Both of them sat on 27. A point further back, Tony Richet wasn't here last week in Monaco, in some decent form though, with those back-to-back podiums before we headed to Monte Carlo. Last season's runner-up Volokongan got his first podium of season 41 in Monaco 7 days ago. He will be looking to carry that form through. And the second Alpine of Ivan Eskreek has been a little bit up and down, hasn't he? Hasn't been on the podium since that 2nd place in the season opening Australian Grand Prix, but still there or thereabouts, just 3 points off the summit. Those 5 drivers, a big cluster right at the sharp end. And then you can't rule out somebody from the mid-pack, since we've had one of the fastest drivers, or arguably the fastest driver, dropping out. Somebody could make a run from the midfield. Nico was a little bit scrappy last week, but did get a podium 3 weeks ago at the circuit of the Americas. Phil's been consistent, and actually from the back of the grid in Monaco, picking up a P6 is a very, very strong achievement. And we've got some other fast drivers that are just coming in as people filter out as well. So this championship, Logan, is going to be hugely exciting.
Yes, it's all wide open now, especially with what you mentioned for like the 5th time Alex Lofer dipping out to PC. So it's at this point is anyone's game now to take the championship. I do believe we're going to have a full house, pending that they all show up, which is always good. Still 5 rounds into the championship. We almost had a full house in Monaco. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but it would have been great if that was. We should have Silo, Jordan, Nico, Mateus, Sviadek, or Svade, sorry, I always say the Q. Volokongan, Eskreeg, Finley, Otsuzito, Van de Geest, Dirk, Snatsk, Phil, Lars Kramer, Giosh, Tony Richet, and the reserves we have Dylan Hogland, Simone Mara, Surface, Polymassy, and Jakita. Yasser Saki is not confirmed anything, but I don't know if he's going to be here tonight. Leon is not here, neither is Fraser, neither is Lepox or Lawrence. Lawrence is driving in another race, unfortunately. Fraser can't make it from college. Lepox has work, and Leon, unfortunately, is down with the sickness. No sign of Yasser Saki yet, but if he does make it into lobby, you'll know he's there. Dylan Hoagland's just come in. But they're coming in thick and fast though, so we should get away anytime soon. As you can see, came a bit more prepared this time. We've got the loop of the intro on. Onto the bottom side though, unfortunately my table will not allow me to go any closer.
Repping it though.
Yeah, it's like a very low table. Like this is my other desk. That's like my main computer, and this doesn't do OBS, so I use the laptop instead. And the table for it is just shockingly bad. Actually, I have something over there. I could try that.
While you do that then, I'll get through a little bit of admin just before we get going. First of all, the calendar. We said penultimate race of 2025. The final one will be next week for the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. And then we break off on the PlayStation side until the 5th of January in 2026 for a 4-race run to complete Season 41. This is the Mexican Grand Prix. I think you said the Circuit of the Americas. It is in North America, I believe, is the continent of Mexico, although Central America sometimes exists, sometimes doesn't. Then we go to Saudi Arabia for Jeddah, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos for the penultimate round of the season, and then Yas Marina, where we're heading in real life next weekend, or this weekend, I should say, actually, for the finale of season 41. I think Logan's discovered that maybe that setup is not going to be ideal for him.
It's all right.
We're going to get a live
Well, I
cutback.
meant no, as I meant the F1 season's ending. It's probably a good thing if you're Ferrari, though.
Yes, Qatar was quite embarrassing for Ferrari, it has to be said.
Well,
Not
let's
the first time,
talk
though.
about that.
But we can have a truce here, though, because you're a Ferrari
honest.
fan, I'm a McLaren fan, so we can just pretend like it didn't happen at all. And instead what we'll do is maybe these teams need to work on their race performance a little bit. And if you want to try and get a bit faster, take note Zach Brown, Andrea Stella, and also take note Fred Vasseur. Head over to Sim Racing Setups, because if you want the best F125 car setups in the business, then Sim Racing Setups have got you covered. Pro F125 setups created and developed by the drivers you see competing week in, week out here at PSGL. Esports and stable setups for every single circuit on the game available. Quali and race setups, dry and wet weather, all for you to sink your teeth into. Optimal race strategies thrown in there as well. All of them available for just £49.49. 27 tracks on this year's game. $49.99 divided by 27 gives you a pretty decent reading for the very good value those setups are. All of them available at simracingsetup.com. And you can use the code PSGL at checkout for a 5% discount. That Austrian setup is going to be pretty important, because it might be a circuit we know, but you're thrown straight into the thick of the action right from the jot at the start of your flying lap. You've got to get turn one right. You've got to nail it, otherwise you're going to be leaking time all the way up the hill on that steep incline into turn number 3. But on the opening lap as well, staying out of trouble through turn 1 is absolutely crucial. Huge pinch point on the inside and an aggressive sausage curb on the outside that is ready to chew you up and spit you right into the Armco on the left-hand side. Turns 3 and 4 rise and fall like a heartbeat, don't they? The uphill surge inviting the bold moves under braking, and then the downhill plunge demanding precision when you do slam that left pedal down. They're overtaking hotspots carved into the beautiful steering hills, but one misread braking marker and your whole race will collapse like a house of cards. Not good news at all. And then the final 2 corners, watch out for them in qualifying, because total commitment required, carrying as much speed, every ounce of performance you can, but go just a fraction over the limit and you'll start collecting warnings and time penalties like they're going out of fashion. Such a good circuit, isn't it, Logan, for racing?
Yes, and I forgot that penalties are quite common, because there's a lot of places where you can go off and have your time deleted as in the real world. I think in 2023 there was a lot of debacles about penalties, quite a lot. As you can see, the camera is a bit much better now. I'm using a shoebox that has my old Rubik's Cubes in it. I'm not kidding. I'm going to make my prediction right now. I have a D20 here.
Wow.
Because this is what happens when you watch Stranger Things. Of course, season 5, the first part of it came out. So I've been thinking, I need to really start playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I've got a D20 here. I'm going to roll this die, and whatever it lands on is going to be the winner of the race.
How do we know which number is assigned to which driver?
I'm looking at the lobby. I've just lost the dice. Oh no.
Good news. I mean,
it's what shows up on my lobby right now. Do you have Nico at the top of your lobby list?
let me check to see if I do. Yes, I do have Nico at the top, followed by Snacks.
Right, I am going to roll this dice. Whatever number it lands on, that's the winner.
I don't think this has ever been done in the history of PSGL, so let's just be prepared for this monumental moment as we see what the F1 gods decide.
It's a 6.
It's a 6. What does that mean?
It's Chiquita, who's a reserve. Oh no, I think my dice may be cursed.
From the same nationality as Alex Lofer, though. One Spaniard out, the next Spaniard comes in and potentially taking over the mantle. We are just 10 seconds away from loading into the qualifying session, getting the Austrian Grand Prix underway. The F1 / Stranger Things gods have decided it is going to be Chiquita on debut, I believe, in PSGL PSF1. Definitely their first appearance this season. Will be coming straight in, Lewis Hamilton style from 2007, and upsetting the apple cart right at the sharp end.
We really should have and finally that voice chat thing's there. I think that was last seen in F1 2012. Wait, am I in the lobby correctly? I hope I am.
Should be
And
loading in.
no, I just have this feeling I've accidentally advertised as a driver. No, I've not. So yeah, I don't think my prediction is correct. Then again, it is just a random roll.
We don't know what to expect,
It'll be
though.
fun.
We don't know what to
I'm trying to
expect. We
break
saw from
new
Monaco.
ground.
We saw from Monaco last week. Anything's possible. Alex Lofer was beaten in a straight fight, made more mistakes in one race than he's made in the entirety of the season so far, Alex Lofer, and now dropping out after being beaten for the very first time. And that should give Dirk a lot of confidence going into this. I've been seeing in the PSGL, PSF1 discourse, people saying that PlayStation tier should be shut down if Dirk ends up winning the championship. Well, he's in the joint lead of the championship race, so hold your horses on that one, everybody. Very, very big opportunity. 20 drivers in. If you are new to PSGL, it is a short qualifying session, 18 minutes on the clock, and we will then follow that one up with a 50% race, and that equates to 36 laps around the Red Bull Ring this evening. You can see it's the weather is set fair. A little bit of cloud cover. You can just see over the Styrian hills and the trees in the background, but a lovely little patch of blue sky as well.
Yep, and we got some cars on track. Who may it be? Well, I know there's a Red Bull there. I do believe it.
Silo, first out on circuit.
Silo, yes. And you gotta be careful with that pit lane. It's very thin. I have crashed into the wall and exiting that pit lane a lot of times before. So please be
Yikes.
careful when you do. Yeah, I know it's strange, but this is why I'm in the commentary box.
In the commentary box and not sat in the cockpit. We can see Silo in the Red Bull car. Home Grand Prix, of course, for the Austrian-based drinks company. We do head back down the hill into turn number 4. One of the premier overtaking opportunities as the corner is that we've just gone through turn number 3, that uphill braking zone. Off-camber corner as well, very easy. Just to light up the rear tyres if you're pushing that slightly little bit too hard and find yourself looping it round in a bit of a lazy spin off into the inside runoff and potentially the Armco barrier on the right-hand side as well. But it is such a fun circuit to drive. When you're in the zone, when you're in the flow, the second half of the lap in particular, pinning it through 6, 7, 8, and then trying to carry as much speed as you dare through the final couple of corners. Tony Roche disconnecting. The Ferrari driver isn't yet out on the circuit. But rounding the final corner we go. Silo should be setting the benchmark, barring any whoopsies on this first attempt. And Logan, do you want to take us through this lap with the Red Bull driver? Or are you getting Tony Roche back in?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go through. I'll go through the lap. Silo, very lucky there, actually, not to invalidate. Clattered the sausage curb on the inside of turn 1, running a little bit wide, but backing off, because that is a decent whack of time that is going to be lost there by that slightly subpar run through the first corner. So we'll jump on board instead with Finlay, who's just started a flying lap and invalidated on the inside of turn number 1. So we're going to try and see if we're strike 1, strike 2, strike 3 is with Phil in the Aston Martin, the beautiful British racing green car, as he cranks on the steering lock to try and get it rotated into turn number 3. Bring the car over to the right-hand side. Then you're going to float over back to the left to give yourself the optimal run through turn number 4. Braking on the curb can be a little bit dangerous if you get it wrong. Very much prone to locking the inside front and just sending you off into the gravel and the runoff area. This is where the commitment starts. You've got to have your car set up nicely. You've got to have that high speed balance absolutely dialed in these Formula 1 cars. Slightly wide there through turn number 7. That just puts him out of kilter through 8. Just a couple of corners left to go. A little bit of traffic as Silo gets out of the way. Just a Mercedes left to deal with, and a bit wobbly over the curb as well. If you take too much of the inside curb through the penultimate corner, that rear end is going to get all loosey-goosey. But we cut the beam, and the benchmark for Phil is a 103.2. We should be comfortably into the 102s with our pole time.
We should. We're coming round to turn 7 and then turn 8. Very easy to invalidate, so be careful of where you put those wheels. And oh no, not another driver leaving the session. Anyway, through Rindt curve, named after the posthumous 1970 world champion, and the final curve, another place you could easily lose it all. DRS on to the line, 103, 102, and that is now the new benchmark.
Great lap there from Mateus, just taking nearly a couple of tenths out of Phil's personal best. Here's Ivan Escri, now the lead Alpine driver, playing with fire with the track limits around the final corner. Are we into the twos? Not quite with the Alpine driver. The Enstone team, 103.033 is Dylan Hogland in the Papaya McLaren, slots into third place on a 103.1. Zwade locking into P5 just behind his teammate. I want to try and pick up one of the championship leaders. Here is Dirk in the middle sector as things stand, negotiating turns 4 and 5 in that white and yellow and red and blue of the Red Bull Racing colours. Through turn 6 we go. You've got to try and carry as much speed as you can. Silo is the first to break the 63-second barrier. Dirk is looking strong, though, at this stage. Red Bull leading the way ahead of the Alpine of Ivan Escrig. Then it's Haas, McLaren and Aston Martin. 5 different constructors currently inside the top 5 as Finlay and Jordan now put laps on the board. 5th and 6th, respectively. Championship leader. Last week's win around the final corner. Dirk, are we in the 102s? No. 4th position, 103.1 for the first V-Carb car. Let's try and pick up his teammate.
So let's see how Van der Geest is going to do. He comes around 7 and 8, right on the edge, but he is inbound, so still valid. And now for Rint Curve, right on the inside. Oh, invalidation! How unlucky! It looked clean to me, but unfortunately, Van der Geest unable to set a time, and he would have been 5th fastest by my looks of it. Yeah, which is unfortunate. Maybe a little faster if he didn't make a mistake on the outside. So unfortunately for him, he will have to go again. And as you may notice, yes, there is also a motorcycling layout on this due to what happened, of course, I think it was 2020, that horrific accident, which thank goodness nobody was seriously hurt.
Tony Richet around the final corner. Looked pretty speedy in his Scarlet Ferrari car. Up into second position for the Ferrari man. Half a tenth down on Silo, who currently still has the benchmark. The only driver inside 63 seconds as things stand. But the drivers 3rd and 5th in the championship race currently occupy 2nd and 3rd on the grid. Mistakes for the 2 V-Carb cars. Interesting. Going to leave themselves under the cosh a little bit as we're already a third of the way through this qualifying session. Surface looking a bit unstable through turn number 3, it has to be said. Gets the car rotated fairly well, though. Now powering down the hill into turn number 4. Riding on board with the Kick Sauber car. Braking again right over up to the white line on the curb. Just misses the apex of 4 ever so slightly, but keeps it comfortably between the white lines on the exit. Now powering down into turn number 6. A little bit of traffic that he might have to contend with through 7. There's a Ferrari and a Williams just up the road. The sector split is a 44 flat. Couple of tenths down on Tony Richet and Silo. There should still be a low 1:03 for Surface. The problem is, with it being such a short circuit, the times and the difference between all the times are going to be so close. The gap from Silo in 1st down to, what is it, Finlay in 10th is less than 2 tenths of a second. Here comes the Kick Sauber. Decent lap of a 103.4, but unfortunately for Surface, slowest of the times we have so far.
It's not even half a tenth, and it is the slowest. That shows how fast this track can be. 5 drivers not set a lap. Volkogan is on one right now. And coming around the outside, I keep forgetting something's missing from that Mercedes livery, and I realise it's the Ineos at the top, you know, where they put the Duracell on the roll hoop. It's just been blank. I don't know what's happened, but I'll not speculate over sponsorships, as we'll look at Volkogan coming around the outside, and onto the final stretch. It is a 9th fastest time, and just behind his stablemate, Dirk. I say stable, the SCI esports team, which I call a stable, kind of like in wrestling, professional wrestling, that is. Not team, because of course when we refer to the team, we refer to the tag team. That is the team. The Kick Sauber, of course, for, say, Surface, or the Aston Martins of Phil and Spade. 4 drivers yet to set a lap. 2 of them on the track right now. We've got Snatsk in the Chrome McLaren, the best McLaren. Do not at me. And we've also got Dylan out there. His teammate is on 10th right now and is not running the Chrome livery. Sad.
Interesting one on Phil. I've just been watching. I was talking about how drivers are really putting it over to the left-hand side into the braking zone of turn 4, braking on the curb. Well, he's gone too far over to the left-hand side and invalidated on the entry to the corner. That is a new one for me. I haven't seen that at all, I have to say, on the F125 game. But Phil just trying to extract the most that he possibly can, making the circuit as wide as the track limits allow. Simone Mara with a bit of a tail wag into the braking zone of turn number 4. That is the trade-off you get when you're braking on the curb. Doesn't give you as much grip as the tarmac. And now dancing through turn number 5, hanging it out as much as he possibly can, trying to keep the rear end of that car stable. But it's not a particularly good first or middle sector. About a 10th down on Volokongan, nearly half a second down on Silo and Tony Richet out in front. So this is probably only going to be a mid 103 for Simone Mara, unless this is an almighty final sector big tail snap going through the final corner. What is it going to be? It's a 103.3, 16th of the 17 times.
Yeah, I'm looking at Phil right now. He's gone on another lap. He is faster than he was last time. It was a bit shaky through turn 1. Struggled to steer the car up at turn 3.
Bit late to the
Finlay
top.
goes to the top. Finlay goes to the top with 102.911. Only the second driver to set a lap under 63 seconds. Can anyone get into the 63.8s, I wonder?
Whoa,
Yeah.
Silo round the final corner, was up by half a tenth, drifting through, but still takes provisional
gets
pole
it.
back.
Hey.
There's a little bit of time left in the pocket of the Red Bull driver because that was almost perpendicular to the circuit through the final corner, but does take back provisional pole. Where are the other championship protagonists? Max von der Geest, good first sector as snacks up into P3 for Papaya McLaren team. 44 flat for Max von der Geest, still just a little bit down on where he needs to be.
Yeah, he is, and Suede is starting his lap. Van der Geest is finishing his lap. He's not set one yet, so is Otsuzito. And coming through the final corner, is Van der Geest going to go to the top? No, he's not. He's only managed 6. What about Otsuzito? He goes to 5th ahead of Ivan Escrig and just behind, 3 thousandths behind his teammate Tony Richet. Great time from the driver, but unfortunately it is not going to be good enough to get into the top 2 rows. He's going to have to go again if he wants to.
Championship leader has bailed, going around and going for another lap, recharging the batteries. Down in P12, just over a quarter of a second off the pole time. And there's 11 cars separating Silo and Dirk. Here is Ivan Escrig in the lead Alpine car, 6th and 16th for the Enstone-based team. And there's only 0.2 of a second less than separating the 2 cars. Shows how closely fought this is, but he is backed off as well. So another mistake out there for one of the drivers. You can see 7 seconds down. We turn to the 2 Williams. Lars Kramer invalidated. Nico is down by 6 milliseconds through the first 2 sectors. Currently holding P10 as Giosh is up into 11th for Kick Sauber. Rounding the final corner with Nico. Former podium sitter this season so far. Second in the Circuit of the Americas. Doesn't find the improvement. 12 milliseconds down on his personal best.
Yes, he is. Tony has started another lap. Coming through turn 3 right now. Slides into the apex and out on the outside, and now down towards turn 4, the route curve. How will he handle this one? Goes in the middle of the curve, and that was a pretty sketchy move on Tony Richet's part. It looked like he slid dramatically into the route curve, coming into turn 5 now. Takes the optimum line. He set the absolute best in the first sector, if that is correct, or the second sector. Pardon me. That's of course between the beginning of turn 3 and turn 6, and now he's on the outside. He's invalidated. How unlucky is that? He
Would have been
set
pole.
the fastest time. Yes, that is so unlucky for Tony Richet. However, he has 6 minutes to go with the short and sweet nature of this circuit. He has oodles of time to get another chance at getting pole position.
It's how punishing this circuit can be, because the margin for error is so small, especially with the track limits, because you're attacking the corners. You think you've got so much confidence to take as much speed as you possibly dare, and you just get it ever so slightly wrong, and you pay hefty consequences. And there's still a little bit more time in that for Tony Richet. Wide through the final corner was a bit messy through turn 7 and 8 as well. So the Ferrari is definitely going to be a threat to take pole away from Silo. Here's Mateus in the Haas, but he's going to bail on this one. Was down through sector 1 and sector 2. Doesn't fancy completing that lap time. And coming into the pits with just over 5 minutes to go. Volokongan, last season's runner-up, out on the circuit at the moment. Good first sector, 15.7. Bad middle sector for Volokongan. Under the cosh, under pressure. Big snap through 7 as well. Down by a tenth, you would imagine, at this stage, and probably returning to pit road, and does. So the Mercedes driver, first podium of the season, last time out with P3 in Monaco, under significant pressure, with not long left in this quali session.
No, not at all. 4.5 minutes to go. The top 10 separated by 2 temps and then some. That shows how very microscopic these times can be. And to be fair, the top five are within 0.14. If this was real life, last place would probably be like 6th on the grid. No joke. Maybe. Definitely top 10 at least, but it just shows that, and this is equal format as well. Maybe in 2020 he would be second if that was the gap between first and second, because of course the W11 dominated that season.
I almost think I would expect it to be a little bit closer, and I think the real read is if you go from Tony Richet in P4 down to Zwade in P18. No, we'll include Jordan in that as well. From 4th down to 19th. That is also 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everyone's in the pits right now, and it's preparing for the last hurrah around this circuit. 3 minutes and 19 seconds to go. And we have Volokongan making his way out in the Silver Arrow, as they call it. He has 3.3 laps of fuel. I can see that because it says on my screen. And it's good to see that he is prepared for the worst should they have to use that fuel. I'm sure these tyres will be fine for those certain laps. We've got more drivers coming out now. Amongst them is Silo in the home hero car, the Red Bull, making his way around and driving the number. Is that a 98? Well, whatever it is. The numbers don't really matter, even though the numbers don't lie. I do wish we had some kind of numbering system, but then again, you can't use actual F1 driver numbers, which is a real shame in my opinion, especially if you're doing your own league. But I guess there's nothing we can do.
There is not. Somebody under pressure in the 24 car is that Silver Arrow of Volokongan. He needs a silver bullet at this stage of qualifying. Might mean a lot of traffic, although it could be okay with everybody starting what should be their final flying laps. Last season's runner-up, 4th in the championship as things stand, but 15th on the timing board with only 1 lap to go. Really aggressive over the curves through turn number 1. Friend or foe? It was friend. He got a really nice run and now pulling gears up the hill. That big incline, you can see that we're approaching now into the braking zone of turn number 3, and does pick up half a tenth almost through the first set. A bit of under rotation on the front right, but does manage to get the car through the corner eventually, although the Merc was a little bit reluctant to push through 3, and now barreling back down the hill we go into turn number 4, braking on the curb, not taking quite as many liberties as a few of the other drivers have, because need to get this lap in Volokongan, and it needs to be darn decent if he's going to get a decent starting position for the race. Into 6 we go, really tight to the curb on the inside, using all the road on the outside as well. Much better in the middle sector, but still 2/10 down realistically on where he needs to be. Last season's runner-up with just 2 corners to go. A little bit of traffic as the Haas gets out of the way. Shouldn't catch the Ferrari approaching the final corner. Just about will be okay. Might get a little bit of slipstream. Bit unstable through the final corner. Needs to be good for Volokongan, and it is. What a final sector it is. Found the time when he needed it most, but Lars Kramer bumps him back down straight away.
Yeah, he gets a 102.875, which Tony Richet goes with a thousandth ahead. Look at the top 3 separated by a thousandth. I've never seen that before.
And Silo's done, invalidated, so that is the driver that was on provisional pole taken out of the equation. Where are the 2 V-Carb cars? Max von der Geest rounding the final corner, I think is going to be going again. There are going to be drivers out of sync here because they've started laps and given themselves an opportunity to go again if indeed they do mess it up. Here's the championship leader, another driver that is backing off and going again. Zwade up into P8 for Aston Martin. Snacks is done in 7th. 1 millisecond separating 3 cars at the moment.
word. I've never seen the like. Still, lots of time for improvement. Otsuzito coming around the final corner. Dylan Hogland goes ahead by 7 thousandths. Otsuzito goes ahead by over half a tenth. Now they're starting to close down. Yeah, I should mention, let me see. Yeah, Tony Richet, no, 2 thousandths it was. Tony Richet separated by a thousandth of Lars Kramer. Silo separated by a thousandth of himself. Time is up on the session. Who have we got left?
Max von der Geest is finding time, but not quite enough. Olakongen done 6th at best for last season's runner-up. This needs to be an almighty final sector for the joint championship leader. Damage thrown up. Max von der Geest very close to invalidating round the final corner. Are we in the 2s? No. 12 flat. Silo back to the top of the timing charts with a 102.7. Where is Dirk? He's reversing out of the final corner. He is done and out of here. Mateus is out as well. Guilloch in the kick. Sauber's been quick round the final corner, but it's an invalidated lap time. It is Silo with a buzzer beater. Messed it up on the first attempt. Got it darn right on the second. Take it by 400ths of a second. Back from Ottozito. Back from Dylan Hogland. Tony Richet will be satisfied but slightly disappointed in P4. Thought he had it within his grasp at one stage. Lars Kramer, Volokongen and Nico with very decent late lap times as well. What a qualifying session that was. It did close up as we were probably expecting it to.
And the fact that at one stage, the top 3 were separated by 2 thousandths is nuts. But Silo said, nope, not having that, and improved by over a tenth to take pole position. What a session. Sometimes the qualifying is more exciting than the race, and there's your proof.
Well, hopefully, that is an omen for what is to come. Silo takes pole position. 400ths back is Ottozito. 600ths back from him is Dylan Hogland in the McLaren. Tony Richet, Lars Kramer, Volokongen, Nico Finlay, Phil and Snacks, your top 10. 700ths separating 3rd and 10th. Zwade just ahead of Max von der Geest. The 2 leaders in the championship will go from 12th and from 18th with Dirk almost on the back row. Simone Mara brings up the rear ahead of Jordan, the 2 Hasses and the Saubers ahead. And Ivan Eskrieg, another championship contender, unlucky to end up in P13.
Yeah, what a session that was.
As a famous man once said, unbelievable scenes. The times coming in this way, that way. We thought it was going to Ferrari, Williams, McLaren were in there, Aston Martin at one stage, and then Red Bull with Silo, who was the lead horse throughout the majority of the qualifying session. Messed it up on the first attempt, but that is why around this circuit you give yourself the opportunity to make up for lost time if you do indeed make a bit of an error.
Give me a second, I'm just going to be getting a drink. Sorry.
Refreshments required from Otaku Logan because of how intense that qualifying session was. With how close it is, hopefully, we're going to get some very, very exciting racing over the 36 laps that we will barrel through the Styrian Hills and make quite a noise. The sound of music translates in Formula 1 to the sound of horsepower, I think is the best way to summarise it. And a lot of the main championship contenders finding themselves down the order. 12th for Max von der Geest, 13th for Ivan Eskrieg. Dirk going from 18th after taking pole last week in Monaco and converting it into his first win of the season, his first podium of the season as well. Big pressure on a number of the drivers at the sharp end of the championship. This could be, Logan, with the way that this qualifying session has ended up going, this could be the championship getting even closer after this race. How we thought of it.
Oh boy, imagine we have a 6-way title finale at Abu Dhabi.
More.
F1 could never.
I'm thinking more. We've got Silo on the front row.
15?
What? Tony Richet is the only big name that's starting inside the top 5. Volokongen's in and around P6, I believe. Volokongen, yeah, P6 for Volokongen. The rest of the 5 that we mentioned at the start of this broadcast, 12th, 13th, 18th.
Well, we've got a long way to go to talk about title fights. We'll just focus on today's race, which will see 20 drivers fighting for supremacy in the Styrian Mountains. The hills are going to be alive with the sound of esports drivers doing 36 laps around one of the best tracks on the calendar. There you go.
Get ready, everybody. This is going to be fun, and it's probably going to be loud and maybe a bit messy as well. Doesn't look like it's going to be wet at this stage. The weather almost identical to what it was in qualifying. A little bit of cloud cover over the trees in the distance, and then the blue sky that is just being summoned from that west side of the track. And we wait in hope and anticipation of an exciting one. Last season, it was a wet start and a dry finish, and we had an absolute classic battle come the end. 7 or 8 cars, I think it was, in the lead fight, battling right until the very last gasp. There were a few drivers that are in this race this evening that were in that lead battle, that were fighting until the very death for that Austrian Grand Prix victory. And it was round 1 last season as well.
Yeah, so, but this is the mid-pack of the season, as it was in most seasons. Obviously, the last season it was like 2020, but here we go. We have 5 lights ahead of the drivers, and underway! It will be Silo leading Otsuzito into the first corner as they head through Niki Lauda curve. We've already got a yellow flag for some reason. There's no incidents as of yet. Coming through the first corner, it is still Silo well ahead. There's some battles further on in the mid-pack. We've got Dylan Hodgland challenging Otsuzito in the Ferrari for second position. Into the curve they go, and it's going to be side by side still coming out of it. Dylan Hodgland trying to squeeze through. And we've also have Lars Kramer and Volkongen fighting for position. Dylan trying to defend from Otsuzito. He has the outside, and they're still going side by side as they come through. And Otsuzito can't get through. Dylan Hodgland gets into second place. But no! Otsuzito hasn't got any speed. It looked like he did, but he didn't. But that battle has given Silo an unbeatable lead right now.
Still carrying on. Dylan Hodgland, lucky there, chucked it down the inside of turn 6, just hoping and praying that the front and the rear tyres would play ball. And thankfully for him, they did just that. But Silo afforded the opportunity to scamper off into the distance. A second and a half, the gap between himself and the chasing pack behind. You can see the movers, the runners and riders surface down 6 places from 14th into last. A lot of people up, 1 down, 1 up, 1 down, 1. A couple picked up for Ivan Eskrig. 3 picked up for Dirk. That is important in the championship race. Otsuzito coming back at Dylan on the run up the hill into turn number 3, and that McLaren bumped back down where he started the race. Otsuzito reclaims that second position.
Yes, and we've also got Ivan Eskrig lose the position to fill. That's in the points. That's the points threshold, of course. P10 being you only get 1 point, and they're still now fighting for the position. And there's also the 2 Racing Bulls, the 2 championship leaders, are doing a battle for 14th place. And we do also have Jaquita and Jordan fighting for 18th place, but that's a bad move from Jaquita, and it looks like Surf is going to try and take the wooden spoon out of himself and into Jaquita, but he can't be able to do that. 1.8 seconds the lead for Silo. Is this Max Verstappen in real? He is 1.8 seconds ahead after just 2 laps as Otsuzito, Dylan and Tony Richet continue to duke it out for the second spot.
And now they've got to settle their differences. They've got to work together, share the DRS to try and get back to the Red Bull. The runaway Red Bull out in the lead of this race. Finlay very close to the back of Lars Kramer, trying to exit the Williams sandwich and get hot on the heels of his teammate. He is going to dangle the nose down the inside into turn number 3. Tony Richet battling with Dylan in front. Finlay barges his way past the Williams. The McLaren dropping places again, though. It's 1 Ferrari through. The second following in the footsteps of Otsuzito. Tony Richet up into 3rd place. 3 has been the magic number for him this season. 2 spots in 3rd place in his last 2 appearances. Will it be a hat-trick of 3rds, or can he go 1, maybe even 2 better?
We'll have to see. They're going to have to work together now and try and get close to Silo. Silo still 1.6 seconds ahead of everyone else. And now Lars Kramer and Finlay still getting it on for 6th and 7th. And they've got their teammates in front of and behind each other respectively. Volkongen ahead of Finlay and Lars Kramer ahead of Nico. So there'll probably be some interesting battling happening there when we get to that. Lap 4 has begun. It is, of course, Silo still in the lead by 1.7, and it looks like the 2 Ferraris are going to have to work together. They'll have no choice but to. Tony Richet will probably have to get through yet, and he gets through, and he will be chasing down Silo. He looks like he has the better pace right now. Silo 1.8 seconds ahead, but he's got to be careful with Dylan Hodgland behind, as well as Volkongen and Finlay. Lars Kramer still battling Finlay close enough, and Nico as well.
Car number 2 takes position number 2. Further back's Wade, having to throw the defensive shape because Kio's very close on the run down into turn number 4. The Sauber a little bit unstable on entry and on the exit of turn number 4 as well. Big fishtail for the driver holding 13th position, and that puts pace to his assault over the Aston Martin that sits in front. The 2 Racing Bull drivers, the 2 championship leaders as things were coming into this Austrian Grand Prix, going for the alternate strategy. They're out of position if you look at where they started on the grid from 12th and 18th respectively, both taking those hard compound tyres, so they are going to be offset to everybody else, out of sync with everybody else's. Giosh, that is very early to pick up your first corner cutting penalty of the race, and I think we're going to be seeing them coming thick and fast over the next 30 laps.
Won't be the last, definitely for sure. The 2 hard drowners. Oh, and that's a mistake from Giosh. Giosh is going to lose some time and might be passed here by Dirk in that Racing Bull if he is feeling like it's worth a shot, and he is going to take it. And he's going to go on the inside, and a collision with the Cyber driver. Not what you want to be doing early on the race. I think it might only be superficial though. Check the cars. I can't really because of the camera angles being the worst idea ever. They're just another on board. So of course that is not very helpful. I can see now. I don't think there is any damage.
Looks to be okay, but it was Dirk very much giving Giosh the cold shoulder there on the run into turn number 3. Said, I'm coming through and there's not a lot you're going to be doing about it, sir. And eventually the Kick Sauber having to relent and having to drop behind the championship leader. And last week's winner, of course, winning the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, but qualifying only 18th here in Austria and has a hell of a lot of work to do to try and get back up towards the podium places. The gap has stabilised out in front of 1.6, 1.7 as Jaquita is the first driver to make their move into the pits. This is somewhat a marginal 2-stop race. You can very easily do it on a 1-stop, but there are some circumstances where drivers might fancy the 2-stop race and potentially think about going for the alternate strategy. Lars Kramer was thinking about attacking Finlay into turn number 3, just ducking and weaving underneath the rear wing of the Mercedes car, and the junior Mercedes team, as it has kind of become in recent years, taking on the Mercedes junior drivers, not quite close enough down to turn number 4 to really make any real impression to put Finlay under any further pressure.
So the gap remains 1.5 seconds at the top. Silo seemingly unbeatable at the moment, but as you know, anything can change. With 30 laps to go after this one, it is a long way to go. Chiquita has pit, the first driver to do so. It doesn't look like the second Ferrari of Otto Zito and Dylan Hoagland are getting close to Tony Roche anytime soon. In fact, I don't even know if there really is a battle going on besides the one between Snacks and Nico. All seem to be in one big DRS chain, one big happy family, chasing down one driver in particular. That is Silo in the Red Bull.
And it'll be when the pit stops come in and the strategy cars start to be laid on the car table that is the tarmac here at the Red Bull Ring, that we will see the drivers start to fan out and this DRS train split once, twice, thrice. We'll have to wait and see. And somebody might pull the punch to try and get themselves some track position and get back in touch with Silo, who is still 1.7 seconds out in front. And the Ferrari drivers not really working together either. Otto Zito happy to sit and watch and wait behind his teammates, see the pace that Tony Roche has got and just get dragged along, hoping that Tony Roche can drag himself and everybody else down to P19 of surface up into the DRS of the race leader.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be closing anytime soon though. Dylan's made up a bit of time, but the gap's pretty much remaining the same as they were. Volokongan closing up on the top 4, and he's coming in, it looks like. Is that a pit stop from Volokongan? It is.
Silo's in as well.
Very early, and Silo's in! This is a 1-stop race, I should mention. Of course, not Monaco last week, which was 2 stops. You can make 1 stop if you want. So, Silo is in. Volokongan is in, and it's going to be for the hard tyres. Thinking, are the hard tyres going to last 29 laps? Well, let's wait and see. That means the 2 Ferraris are now in the lead. It's just like the early 2000s again.
Long old stint that. I said it was a marginal. You could potentially get away with a 2-stop. Very, very early to come in. I doubt that is to try and take those to the end of the race, especially Sali. You wouldn't be pulling that punch when you've got 1.7 seconds in your back pocket over everybody else. Bit of a wobble there for Finlay on the exit of turn number 4. Just needs to keep his wits about him, not fall out of the 1-second window of now Dylan Hoagland in front after his teammate exits stage left into the pits and left his teammate with a little bit of work to do just to try and cling on to the coattails of the Papaya McLaren in front. Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Williams, McLaren. And we are seeing other drivers pulling into the pits now as well. well, so they are reacting to the punches pulled by Silo, by Volokong, and Tony Richesi. Notazito hung out to dry. Dylan's in, as is Lars Kramer. Nico has to stay out, but Snacks opting to queue behind his teammate.
Yeah, what I look like, we have half the drivers pitting. I assume that is a strategic move. Well, I say that, and the two McLarens have double stacked. Not what you want to be doing. Snack's going to lose some time, but he has come out ahead of Simon Mara. And Stylo is still 1.3 seconds ahead of Tony Richet. Looks like the undercut's working, and now he's going to have some added... he's going to have a lot of trouble now. He's got Volokongen in front of him. Sorry, I minced my words there. Volokongen getting ahead of Tony Richet, and now 3.2 seconds behind Silo. But we've got Otsuzito yet to pit, and Nico as well. But the gap between them is 2.5 seconds. Two Aston Martins still yet to pit, the two Racing Bulls as well.
We have got a strategy game on our hands, everybody. Silo has pulled the punch, laid his cars down on the table, and doubled the lead that he had over his closest rival. 1.6 when he came into the pits. Nearest makes no difference. 1.2 as he exits the pits. And now with the Mercedes of Volokongen in between himself and Tony Richet. Dylan Hoglan still very much in the equation. Finlay just desperately trying to cling on to the McLaren in front. Was staring at the rear wing of his teammate. He's staring at his teammate no more, because there's now a couple of cars separating the two Silver Arrows. And there is a big gap that has formed in between Lars Kramer, who's just right at the rear of that second train, and then it is the two Haas cars of Mateus and Jakita. Dirt battling away with Zweig down the inside into turn number 3. Was unsuccessful on his first attempt at trying to nab P5 away from the Aston Martin car. Zweig hovering in the middle of the circuit, but Dirt not close enough to make a move this time.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a 5-car train there with Nico, Phil, Ivan, Zweig and Dirk fighting for the current second position. As I believe that Mateus is battling with his teammate Jakita into turn 4, and he will be ahead, Mateus. And that's Dirk ahead of Svade, because he is going to be pitting. Svade is going to be pitting for what I would believe is the medium tyres.
Getting shot of those. Interestingly, the two Haas cars, once they debate their own places on the circuit, they've allowed Guillaume in the Sauber to slip past the pair of them, which is not ideal at all. Still over 3 seconds the gap between Silo and his nearest challenger, Tony Richet. Ottozito continues to soldier on out in front. Definitely, you would imagine, on the one-stop strategy after doing 10 laps, significantly more at this stage. 3 laps, probably going to be 4 laps more than anybody else. Could even be more. Nico, Phil and Ivan Eskrig, the other drivers, staying out on the mediums. And then the two RB cars, Remember Dirk and Mats von der Geest, come into this race level on points at the top of the championship table. Things end as it looks like they're going to, with the pair of them outside of the points paying positions. They definitely will not be first and second in the championship. They'll be lucky to find themselves still inside the top 5.
Yeah, they will indeed, and there's a battle between Snatsk and Simon Mara at turn 4 for 17th position right now. And they're still going side by side, going into 5, and it looks like the Red Bull of Simon Mara will have the position over Snacks for the meantime. Further up, it is still a battle between Evan Eskrig and Dirk for 4th right now. Ottozito leading this pack by 1.5 seconds, but I thought it was much wider before. Was it 2 seconds? Or it might have been...
Yeah, he's lost half a second through turn 1, I think, as Dirk is going to get past the Alpine of Ivan Eskrig into turn number 3. Slightly wide on exit, but the Alpine doesn't have the traction, doesn't have the grip in the rear tyres on that Alpine car to fight it back down into turn number 4. So has to wave the white flag as the white RB piles on through. Dirk up into P4 now after qualifying 18th. Yet to stop still on that set of hard compound tyres that he'll be taking, you'd imagine, past half distance if he is going to try and make a one-stop race work. That you'd expect will be the plan. The two RB cars take these hard tyres as long as they physically possibly can, and then go mediums to the end.
That looks like to be the strategy they're going to go for. So we have, I think, the mid-pack, we've got Dylan Hogland still wrestling with Volokongen, where he lost a position in the pit stops, even though he was in front at the double stack that he had with his teammate Snatsk, who is now second bottom for the meantime. But looks like Volakongan is getting closer to Tony Roche than Dylan is to himself. So could be seeing a battle here, as that is Van de Geest getting past Evan Escreed. Didn't seem like there was a challenge at all from the Alpine driver. Down to 6 now. Dirk is in 4th place, ahead of his teammate, and he's closing up on Phil and Nico. But Otsuzito's still the leader for now, 1.4 I say for now, because of course these drivers have not stopped, and Silo and everyone below them have.
Silo catching them very quickly now, just 2 seconds off the back of Ivan Eskrig, and that is the pole sitter who is going to have a little bit of traffic to contend with. Tony Roche was absolutely flying, had got the gap between himself and Silo down to about 2.6 seconds, has just lost a second, and was under significant pressure from Volakongan, who got balked on the run into turn number 4, now having to just fend off any kind of attack from the McLaren of Dylan Hoglan behind. Ivan Eskrig is going to lay those medium compound tyres to rest. 13 laps completed on them. If it is going to be a one stop for the Alpine, 23 laps on a set of hard compound tyres. That does feel like a tall order, because the tyre wear is very, very high, as it seems, as Phil loses out in, well, a non-contest really, to the flying championship leader of Dirk.
Yeah, Dirk got through quite easily. Phil not willing to challenge. Knows that Dirk's on superior rubber at the moment. Further down, we've got Dylan and Finlay behind Volakongan, Finlay's teammate, and we've also got Lars Kramer in the party as well, with Tony Roche at the front of that train, who's nearly 4 seconds behind Silo. It's not looking good for everyone unless your name is Silo. For now, Svidek and Mateus fighting for 13th place, and Svidek's got it. And now you'll have to battle his teammate again, it looks like, if he loses any more time. Lars Kramer still holding on at the back, and looks like Dirk, Otsuzito, Nico and Phil are pitting, which means that the 2 Racing Bulls will be the only drivers that have not pit yet. But he's right. Guess who's right behind him? Yeah, the sister car, Silo.
First and second in the championship, now first and second on the road, but like you said, haven't pitted as yet in this race so far. Ottozito, Nico and Zwade are going to be significantly undercut. The Aston Martin, not Zwade, significantly undercut by the drivers that pitted 6, 7, some even 8 laps ago. And Ottozito is going to come out in a big train of cars. Yeah, you can see down in P15 when he was tucked up right beneath the rear wing of his teammate. It's about 10 seconds now separating the 2 Ferrari cars.
Sorry, something's come off Snack's car. He's got end plate damage, and I'm not sure what happened there. Didn't look like he was close to Otsuzito at all, or is it Nico or whoever? But that means he is going to lose some time, and Nico's going to get the position very easily here. Snack's now already lost 1 position, and now he could be losing another. Otsuzito is trying to get ahead of Jordan for 14th. Otsuzito is going to take a big gamble here. He's got to get through all this gaggle of cars with fresher rubber, all in hard tyres now. But yes, you've got to also count out the Racing Bulls, who are now fighting with the Red Bull Asile. Are they going to hold them up to make this race a little more interesting, perhaps? No, Van de Geest has no chance, with all due respect. Silo gets past immediately, and I think Snatsk is going to bin it. Yeah, he's decided to throw in the towel, and he is no longer in contention for the win. He drops it in the pit lane, and that will be it for Snatsk tonight. 1 second separates Dirk and Silo, so it should be a matter of time Silo gets through.
Oh, we've got contact at turn 3. Sorry to jump in there. Ottozito tried it around the outside of Jordan. The Alpine way too late on the brakes, though, and slammed into the Red Bull in front of Simone Mara. Now Ottozito under pressure, darting all over the place, sends it down the inside of 4. Little bit ambitious. Is the Alpine going to get given the timer down the outside? The answer is yes, but blundering through down the inside goes Ottozito on significantly fresher tyres. Nico trying to follow through. It's going to be the outside of turn number 6. Not quite on the gravel, but very, very close indeed. Eyeball to eyeball through 7 as well. Mats van der Geest into the pits, and the Williams forces his way past. Brilliant racing between the pair of them. Nico opportunistic and bumps Jordan down to 16th.
Yeah, sorry, Svay's left the session. I'm inviting him right now. Keep going.
That's Van der Geest in the pits. That tells us it's definitely a two-stop race. Thought it was marginal as Silo gets past Dirk for the lead of the Grand Prix. Definitely too marginal for drivers that were maybe thinking about a one-stop strategy. Mats Van der Geest is going to re-emerge in last place as the two Alpine drivers are going to trade blows and swap places 3 wide further up in that train. Look at this, the Haas, the Red Bull, the Aston Martin of Zwade watching and waiting. Down the inside goes Nico in the background, trying to nab P13 off the hands of Otto Zito. Zwade has been dragged into this one reluctantly with 3 wide and almost a bit of tyre locking going on side by side in front. Simone Mara under pressure from the Haas of Chiquita down the inside into turn number 4. The action, suddenly everything started to kick off and Simone Mara clean around the outside, gets in between the two Haas cars.
I think it was the disconnection of Svade. Svade is still having problems, and is he even in the car? I'm not sure.
Doesn't
yes,
look like
he is, but he's lost pretty much all the momentum he had since he disconnected, and he's lost all those positions, and I think his disconnection sparked a massive cascade of overtakes, and has pretty much switched up the order, and now Otto Zito is into 12th, and he's right behind Chiquita for 11th, and is almost catching Simone Mara for the points.
Got to be careful of Nico, though, who made his intentions very, very clear down the inside. Chiquita, this is going to be a non-contest. You would imagine the Ferrari on the inside not even going to challenge into the braking zone because Chiquita already behind. Nico trying to follow in the footsteps of the Ferrari, pick them off one by one behind Otto Zito. Successful once again is in attempts to doing so, and that is Chiquita pocket pinch not once but twice. Now has Ivan Eskrig in the Alpine to deal with. Got a really good run. They're going to try it down the inside into turn 4, and that is another place lost. 3 positions lost in 2 corners for Chiquita.
Van der Geest has stopped, but he's wearing another set of hards.
Definite 2-stop.
He's going for a 2-stop here. You can't use the same position, and we have a yellow flag for some reason. I don't know what's happened, but well,
whoa, Volakongen to the inside. Tony Richet was balked behind Dirk, who I think made a mistake, and now the Ferrari into the back of the Mercedes. Damage as carbon fibre flutters up off the front wing of Tony Richet. Dylan Hoglan's going to help himself. Dirk is on significantly worn hard tyres, struggling for pace. Dylan Hoglan down the inside. Volakongen already disposed of the championship leader. Contact again. Bumper cars into 3 as Volakongen. Dirk takes a trip off the circuit through the grass. Is going to let everybody go through. Tony Richet still trying to have it out with Dylan Hogland. Volakongen from Dylan, from Tony Richet. Finlay thought about it down the inside. Dirk with no grip tries it around the outside of Lars Kramer. Crazy, crazy stuff there. We didn't see what went on. As more damage comes up, it's Tony Richet who's missing even more of his front wing. Finlay around the outside of turn number 6. Tony Richet, this race, he was in net 2nd position. Now with significant damage to that Scarlet Ferrari car, and his chances of winning this race have just gone up in steam.
It just gets worse and worse for Ferrari. Otto Zito pits late on and loses one position. Tony Richet is now trying to wrestle the car through back into the pits and trying not to cause any commotion, but he's really struggling to do that. Finally gets into the pits, but he's going to lose so much time.
Not good news for Tony Richet.
Phil trying to make a move on Ivan Eskrig at the final corner. A very drastic, desperate move, but did not succeed, and luckily not to get damaged. Now Van der Geest round the outside. What a move this would be if he can pull it off. And he has. Brilliant move. Mateus now has lost position. Josh has lost position. But he's going to try and defend at the inside. No, he's not going to get it. It is now, and there's still more. I can't even blooming look at what's going on. I don't know what to watch.
Suddenly absolutely exploded side by side. Phil and Max Van der Geest, 3-lap-old hard tyres for the RB, 5-lap-old hard tyres for the Aston Martin. Little bit of wheel hooking. Phil keeping his foot in there in the inside of turn number 4. But Max Van der Geest goes clean around the outside of the green machine, and that is 12th place for the driver, second in the championship coming into this Grand Prix. Dirk is still out there on his set of hard compound tyres, but is incredibly slow at this stage. Otto Zito has managed to barrel and blunder his way up into P7. Finlay into the pits. I wonder if the Mercedes picked up some damage in the bumps and the scrapes and the skirmishes between himself and Tony Richet, who's out in P18. Dirk, no, with a 10-second penalty. If the one stop was going to give him a chance to win this race, that big mistake there has ruined any opportunity.
Yeah, he's got 10-second penalty. He's only going to get removed if he pits again, and that would probably be if a safety car comes out. I don't even think we've had a safety car yet. Van der Geest still making moves. Now he's up to P9. Well, he should be if he gets this move pulled off as the Kick Sauber locks up at turn 3. Guillaume, who already has a 3-second penalty. I'm surprised that no one else has had a 3-second penalty. You don't count Dirk, obviously. That was a 10-second penalty, as Ivana Skrieg trying to get ahead of Giosh at turn 4 and is successful in doing so. No response from Giosh, and that means Ivana Skrieg will keep the 7th place. Otsuzito is being closed up on by Nico behind him. Otsuzito now in 5th with Silo pitting again. Silo in for his second stop. Should be his last. Volkongen in, Hoagland in. The top 4 are in. Looks like Giosh is going to be coming in as well. And, oh my goodness, it's really hard to slow down and make sure the fast drivers are not approaching from you right behind you, as the order is going to be shaken up once again. Otsuzito now going to be in the lead of the race, but Nico following behind. Who is it going to be up to turn 3? Let's see. It's going to be Nico on the outside, and he's going to get right through immediately. Van de Geest is going to try and get involved into this corner. Going to try and overtake his Skrieg, and he's glocked wheels of them. But it looks like he's got through, and now he's got to contend with Phil right next to him. Phil coming down towards turn number 4. And it looks like he's going to hold him off for now. My word, it just takes an even bigger twist.
Well, I don't think Ivor's going to be particularly enamoured by that, getting a shoulder barge off the circuit from Max von der Geest. Logan, not you, Ataka Logan, has jumped in the chat asking for some tips. If the race wasn't quite as hectic and it's exploded realistically in the last 5 laps or so, then we would give you some tips, although as commentators, we're probably not the people that you want to be asking. Silo up the inside, gets past Phil on the run into the penultimate corner. Volakongen does the same, getting past the Sauber of Surf. So the Surf's going to keep it in there, boxing and getting out of the way. Dylan Hoagland going to be compromised by that one, but the Sauber does very efficiently get out of the way. There's Dirk just in the background as well on his brand new set of medium tyres, trying to take those to the end of the Grand Prix, but has Lars Kramer in the second, Williams to deal with on the run up the hill into turn number 1. Silo again, very close. In fact, alongside and ahead Ivan Eskrich. The difference between brand new and older tyres, night and day as things stand. These drivers on the fresh rubber, 2-3 seconds a lap faster.
It's nuts. It's the top 6 versus it's the top 6 versus each other, and it looks like Jordan is going to get passed finally by Volkongen, but he's already 3 seconds down, but he's on new tyres. He can easily get through. Look at this battle between Otsuzito, Silo, and Van de Geest fighting for second position. Van de Geest trying to get past Silo, but Silo sticks through, and Otsuzito is going to be smothered up too. Not a chance. Silo is cruising. This is Max Verstappen. Come on, show yourself. This can't be real. Even if he's got another a second penalty of the race.
3 seconds. Not good news. With how clustered and how close it is, that is going to lose you a hatful of places. Volakongen fastest lap of the race. Dylan Hoagland gets past Jordan on the run out of the final corner. Lars Kramer still really close, glued to the back of the RB of Dirk as Silo takes the lead back off the hands of Nico. Finlay, great run out of turn number 1. He's going to dispose of Jordan in the Alpine car. Still side by side. Lars Kramer thought about it for one moment. Outside, inside. Dirk is late on the brakes into turn number 3. A little bit too late on the brakes and now blocked behind the Alpine of Jordan, who's an effective moving barricade for these two cars here. The Alpine gets out of the way, but I don't think Lars has the opportunity to dive down the inside of turn number 4. Dirk counting his lucky stars there, came across the Alpine at just the right point after that tiny mistake into turn number 3.
Yep, lap 24. We're 2/3 way through the race, but Silo's absolutely flying. He's making the circuit his own. He got the pole position in the last minute by quite a margin, considering the margins overall. He's now leading by a second, and he only had the lead just 2 turns into the lap. And this just shows how Silo could be a real challenger for the rest of the season. He is leading Nico and Otsuzito, and Van de Geest in 4th position, and he's going to try and get past Otsuzito now for 3rd place, and he's going to get through despite starting well down the grid. He's managed to get up to 3rd place. That is the 2nd place man in the championship, and he could be about to take the lead if he can get into 2nd place, which Nico is up ahead.
Dirk getting past Finlay. Lars Kramer trying to follow around the outside into turn number 4. Giving a big shoulder barge into the gravel. Front left tyre, rear left tyre into the gravel for Lars Kramer as he cascades off the road. Finlay making his intentions there. Didn't just have razor blades on his elbows. He had knives on his elbows there. Finlay with a little bit of front wing damage, missing that left-hand end plate. Lars Kramer has been all over the back of Dirk in the last few laps. Will be desperate to get past this Mercedes. Will it be into the penultimate corner? No, that would be absolutely crazy, it has to be said. Ivan Eskrig into the pits to get shot of his hard compound tyres. Phil Volokong and Dylan Hogland et al. Are going to fly past the Alpine as they're stationary in the pit lane. Lars Kramer, will it be into turn number 1? No, biding his time because Finlay, the pace is still okay for the Mercedes driver, but almost being pushed through turn 1 by Lars.
Yeah, Lars Kramer is trying to get past, but so is Finlay on Dirk. Who's it going to be? He's going to try a strike in the corner. No! Lars Kramer pushing Finlay again in a braking zone. And now, what's going to happen when they get down to turn 4, I wonder? Let's find out. To get into the corner. No, he might actually. He's going to try again through. Finlay's made a mistake. But Finlay, oh no, they've collided into each other, and Lars Kramer has lost some time there, and Finlay's going to stay ahead.
With the front wing damage, the understeer was inevitable there for Finlay. Lars Kramer going to be chomping at the bit to get past, steaming from ear to ear though, because that's 2 attempts now that have been unsuccessful as Dirk attempts to try and trot off into the distance. Volokongen and now Dylan Hogland tucked up underneath the rear wing of Phil. 12 laps on his tyres. Finlay has been passed into the final corner, dropping behind the Williams of Lars. Will be, well, saying 3 laps too late, it has to be said. Now Phil is going to get out of the way for the Mercedes and for the McLaren, you'd imagine, that are going to blast past on the run up the hill into turn number 3. And that's a couple of places lost for Phil, but this is not really his race as he tries to take these hard tyres as far as he possibly can. Silo, as everything is kicking off, is now 4.4 seconds clear out in front. Nico with Mats von der Gies to deal with. Then Ottozito, followed by Volokong and last season's runner-up in PSGL, PSF1, Dylan Hogland, and then Phil, part of this secondary chasing peloton. Volokongen desperately looking there to try and find a way past the Ferrari of Ottozito. 7 lap fresher. Hard compound tyres for the Silver Eye behind the Scarlet Ferrari. Ottozito not going to roll out the red carpet for Volokongen, but you can bet your bottom dollar going to make it as difficult as he possibly can. 1/10 of a second coming out of turn number 8. But like we said before, and we'll say it again, it'd be crazy to send it down the inside into turn 9.
It would be indeed, and Volokongen bringing the car through every apex at the right possible point as he's trying to get past Ottozito. Is he going to try and get past him here before the DRS? Looks like that's going to be his challenge, but no, it's not. He's going to have to get it with both drivers on DRS, but it is Volokongen with the pace and surely into 4th. Yes, that is the case. And further behind, it looks like Ottozito and Dylan are going to be battling as well, so Ottozito's lost another place. Dylan now into 5th place, but are they going to close in on Silo? Well, I'm not too sure about that, as that was Van der Gies and Volokongen, I think, battling, but it looks like Volokongen is still in 4th. Actually, no, I think it was the 2 VNT drivers. They're looking much closer right now.
So Ottozito missing a little bit of front wing. Lars Kramer has finally managed to dispose of Dirk and has joined the back of this secondary chasing peloton, dragging with him the RB of Dirk, who does have a 10-second penalty, and Finlay as well. I think Mats von der Gies is going to box here. Started on the hard tyres, changed to the hard tyres. Now going to be fitting the mediums or perhaps even softs, although they might burn up very, very quickly, it has to be said. And that has just left Volokongen under a little bit of pressure here. Got to try and get the DRS from Nico in front. 14 laps on the tyres of the Williams in 2nd place. 6.7 seconds now, the gap between 1st and 2nd as we start 29 with this group. Lars Kramer is incredibly quick at this stage of the Grand Prix. Down the inside of Phil, going to nab another position that he can add to his back catalogue. 6th place as Phil doesn't fight that one too hard, just trying to nurse his hard compound tyres to the end of this 36-lap Grand Prix. Dirk starting to struggle on his mediums. Finlay might be thinking about getting back past as Volokongen battling away with Nico into turn number 4. Not a contest as last season's runner-up is up into 2nd.
Yeah, but you know what else is not a contest? The battle for the lead. It's 7 seconds.
That's sizable. Indeed.
Yeah. We'll see if that closes down. But for the meantime, it's Silo ahead of Volokongen, and we've got a gaggle of cars right behind him. led by Nico, but he is on softer tyres. Surely Dylan is going to try and get in to third place very soon. But looking at Van der Geest, he's went on the medium tyres and he's going to be trying to close up the surface, but it doesn't look like he's going to have a chance at winning this race, unfortunately, or maybe not even getting points. Well, he could get points. Of course, the penalties do play a part. I don't think Dirk is going to be scoring any points, unfortunately.
I don't think so. Mats van der Geest has got a lot of work to do to get through. Here comes Lars Kramer. Another place is going to be picked up. One Williams goes backwards, the other moves forward. Now 4th and 5th as Nico is overtaken by Dylan Hoglan with the helping hand of DRS for the Papaya McLaren car. Ottosito falling off the face of the planet with that front wing damage has got Phil behind on the same ace tyres. Dirk on ailing mediums, and then Finlay, who's got a little bit of damage as well. 6th place still not out of the question for Ottosito, and if Nico's tyres continue to go off as well in front, then maybe there's an opportunity to pick up an extra spot. But Ottosito, you have to commend these drivers that are trying the one-stop strategy, but we said it was marginal, the 1 and the 2-stop balance. 2-stop definitely looking like the right way to go.
Yes, absolutely. Looks like 6 laps to go. 7.5 seconds is the gap now. Silo is flying away. He pretty much has led this race from the very start, if we don't count the times that he pitted, of course. It's just been all Silo all the way, and the only way he can lose this now is there's a safety car comes out and ruins his gap, meaning everyone has to pit again. And I don't see that happening right now. The racing first on collisions has been as clean as it got. No one's taken at each other. No, surely I haven't cursed it, right? No, not yet. Finlay trying to battle with Phil into turn 5 and 6. Coming soon. But it looks like Phil is going to hold on and get the position. The two Williams are now battling each other. And it will be Lars Kramer coming through. We might have let him through, actually. He's going to be chasing down Volkongen and Dylan Hogland for 2nd place.
Definitely choreographed. There's an opportunity for Nico. We saw him put off a mammoth stint to take 2nd at the Circuit of the Americas a few weeks ago. Could take 5th place here with the battles going on behind. On the previous lap, it was Phil who got his pocket pinched by Dirk on the run into turn number 3. Now pushing the RB through turn number 1. Bit of a tail wag for the championship leader. 10-second penalty to be applied at the end of the race for Dirk. Has he got the straight line speed? Phil in the Aston Martin car, both of them with DRS. There's a small gap to the outside, but Phil did not want to fill that with the green machine, the Aston Martin car, sitting and watching and waiting behind the RB for the time being. Ottosito comfortable for the time being as well in front of the championship leader, who I think is thinking more about the cars behind because he's got an Aston Martin down the inside into turn number 4. I think this is going to be self-inflicted because Phil could be at the mercy of Finlay, but Finlay couldn't quite get the drive out of it. Using the battery to the inside, side by side through turn 6 we go. Front wing damage from the Mercedes, but still blunders down the inside. Phil's got nothing left on those hard tyres, and it's going to have to concede defeat. Chucked it down the inside of turn 4 to try and steal 7th from Dirk, and what has resulted? It's resulted in him losing 8th to Finlay.
Yeah, it has. Now Phil down in 9th. He's got Tony Richet, and we know Tony Richet's really quick around these tracks, and he could be losing 9th place as well. Well, he could get it back. Dirk's got a penalty, so realistically he's in 8th right now. And Tony Richet, was that a mistake by Tony Richet? He might not be in the fray yet, but now we have a move. Dylan Hogland ahead of Volkongen up into 2nd place, but 8 seconds behind the leader. But forget about that. Just pretend he doesn't exist and fight for your life. And now we've got Wiskrieg and Van der Geest, and there's a collision there. I think even Wiskrieg was caught out there, and he has. And now he's down in 14th. Looks like we're going to get another race without a safety car. It's incredible how these drivers are keeping it clean race by race. This is, of course, the top division. We should be having more races like this, and we are. We'd love to see it. And the races are close. Volkongen now is down in 3rd, and he's got Lars Kramer behind him, and we know he's quick too.
And punchy as well. Lars Kramer has been very keen to make moves, as is Mats van der Geest. 4 laps on his medium tyres, thinking about it maybe down the inside into penultimate corner. That would be crazy, as we've said before. Into the final corner, just sitting behind once again. Zwade 4 seconds off the back of Tony Richet as Surface picks up a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. Finlay, Dirk, Phil still joined at the hip by Ottosito in P6. Late on the brakes is Max von der Geest into turn number 1. These two RB cars, I don't think either of them are going to pick up points, it has to be said. And that will change the complexion in the championship completely, has to be said. Gios goes defensive, defense to attack because he's almost running to the back of the Aston Martin of Zweid. Max von der Geest finds the smallest of spaces to fit a Formula 1 car around the outside of turn number 3, and now side by side, cascading, jumping down the hill into turn number 4. Tricky braking zone when you're under pressure, especially over the curb. Max von der Geest, much fresher tyres, just goes clean around the outside of the Kick Sauber like he doesn't exist. Bit of a bump and a grind on the exit, but that won't matter one jot to Max von der Geest as he's trying to make up for lost time. But I think a spot inside the top 10, 10th at best, it has to be said.
Yeah, 10th at best, and now Finlay and Dirk are battling, and Finlay is through. We have 2 laps to go, and Silo leading by 8 seconds. But there's a battle, an even bigger battle between the 2 drivers in, actually 3 or maybe 4. Nico is still within those top 3 in front of him, which is incredible to think. He's on 20-lap-old hard tyres, and these guys are on 13-lap-old hard tyres as well. So it looks like we're going to have a battle between Volkongen and Dylan Hoagland heading into turn number 4, and it looks like he's going to get the outside. Dylan is not going to hang back easily, and he's going to defend the position on the inside, and he nearly pushes the opponent off, but he keeps it together. Fair play there, but Volkongen says, no, that's my spot. But no, he can't get the spot. Dylan stays ahead.
Really good racing. Just over a lap to go, battling for the 2nd and 3rd spots on the podium. Lars Kramer, though, is sitting and waiting and trying to pick up the pieces from any scraps that fall onto his plate. Finlay's got back ahead of Dirk, whose medium tyres very much on the way in 15 laps. Look at those mediums. They look absolutely atrocious. Got a 10-second penalty anyway. Not going to be scoring any points in this. There's the championship leader. He's going to be relinquishing that title in just over a lap's time. 8.5 seconds the gap out in front. Dylan Hoagland under pressure on the run into turn number 3 up the hill. Last season's runner-up was driving that Papaya McLaren car. Switched to a different Mercedes engine car. Around the outside into turn 3 we go. Dylan still keeping his nose in it. Up the inside. Watch for the Williams of Lars Kramer, who's going to be chomping at the bit, nipping at the heels of the duo in front. Volkongen, great run out of turn 3, but doesn't have the benefit of the DRS. Dancing all over the place is the McLaren. Contact tries to hang it down the inside. They run into each other. Lars Kramer runs into the pair of them and chips off part of his front wing. Getting a little bit feisty here, but it's Volkongen who just about clings on as it got a little bit messy. Behind it's all kicking off as well with Ottosito, Finlay, Dirk, who's running on the rims of those medium tyres. But the calm as the storm goes on has been Silo. Rounding the final corner, 10 seconds is the margin. I think Dirk might have a puncture. Yes, Dirk has punctured his medium tyres, but Silo takes it. Brilliant performance, pole position, comfortably clear of the rest of the field. Volkongen second ahead of Dylan. Dirk has indeed got a puncture, just half a lap short. Nico's tyres fell away on the last lap, but he comes home 5th ahead of Ottosito. The one-stoppers in 5th and 6th doing a great job. Finlay, Tony Richet in the 2 Aston Martins. Max von der Geest misses out on a point. The drivers that were 1st and 2nd in the championship finished 11th and 19th.
Yeah, not a good sight for Dirk. Dirk's still trying to get the race finished. His rear tyre has completely disintegrated, and he will finish the race in last. A bad night at the office for the championship leader, or not to be anymore anyway. Dylan and Volkongen battle resulted in Lars Kramer losing his wing. It's so unlucky for Lars Kramer. Unfortunately, I think they're going to have the stewards look at that as Dirk has just crashed into the stricken Ferrari. So, it is a win for Silo. He was unchallenged the entire race. 10 seconds he won by 10! And we thought it would be that close.
Incredible. And as everybody else was getting embroiled in those battles, Silo miles clear out in front. Fastest lap and driver of the day for Mats von der Geest, but he didn't critically score any points. Dirk with the most overtakes, but ended up 19th. Volkongen in 2nd with the cleanest driver. Silo announces himself as a potential championship protagonist. Volokongan, though, with back-to-back podiums. Third last week, second this week. Could he round off 2025 with a victory at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone? Good result as well for McLaren with Dylan Hoglan, the two Williams, rounding out your top five. Ottosito making the one-stop work alongside Nico did a very, very good job, considering it wasn't the optimal strategy. Finlay and Tony Roche both wounded in the race, come home 7th and 8th. Phil as well, another one-stopper, makes it 3-point scoring races in a row. And Aston Martin rounding out the points with Mats von der Geest just behind Wade. Guillaume, Simone Mara, Chiquita, Mateus, Ivan Eskrig, Jordan Surface and Dirk. Three of the drivers in the top five in the championship race failing to score a point. As your prediction of Chiquita, the dice, he ended up in P14, unfortunately.
I'm never going to use dice again. They're retired.
Never trust them.
Should mention, funny fact, except for Snatch, who didn't finish the race, who started 10th, the top 10 finished within the top 10 of those who finished the race. Not counting Snatch. He started 10th and he failed to finish. Everyone in the top 9 finished in the top 9, albeit more skewed decisions, of course. Second place finished in 6th. Sixth place in qualifying finished in 2nd, which is some feat. Well done to them. And it is going to pretty much shake up the order, perhaps, in the championship. Even Iskrig is saying that Dirk collided with them because of the puncture or something about that. Yes, so Silo, who only had made one appearance prior to this, has just got 16 points and is right into this championship battle. Volokongan, no. Volokongan, who was 4th. Did he finish 2nd, right?
Yeah, he should lead because Tony Roche was P8, I believe.
Volokongan will be on 37 and will have a 10-point lead over Dirk.
But there should be other interlopers in there as well. The likes of Silo picking up, I think it'll be 17 because he got pole position as well. There's an extra point to be handed out for that. So perfect. Didn't quite get the fastest lap, but 17 out of 17 for Silo. And that is maybe a 6th championship contender.
I forgot he gets the extra point for the pole position. But yeah, Silo going to go up into the top 10 for sure, if we don't count Alex Lover, who's left. So it'll be pretty exciting to see how the races shape up. Next up, we're at Canada.
Are we? I'm pretty sure it's Silverstone.
It says Canada on my
Did it say Canada?
leaderboard.
Oh, it is Canada.
Yes, it's Canada. Then Silverstone. Then Mexico City. Then Jeddah. Then off to Sao Paulo. And then, of course, Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit, your finale. But next week will be the halfway point. Montreal, Canada. The Ile Notre Dame in the middle of Montreal. And that will be the site of the next chapter of Season 41 in the top premier class of PlayStation Formula 1 racing. And we can't wait for that.
We cannot. Great venue. And a great 2 tracks, actually, to round off 2025 with the Gilles Villeneuve circuit and then Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time. Before we go, make sure, everybody, if you want to get those extra tenths of performance, maybe even seconds, got to check out Sim Racing Setups. The pro setups available in the description via the link. simracingsetups.com, all of them available for £49.49. Esports and stable setups, quali, race, wet, dry, optimal race strategies. They've got everything you could possibly want. Developed and created as well by the drivers that compete week in, week out at PSGL. And make sure at checkout you use the code PSGL for a 5% discount on your purchase. But that is us done for another week of PSGL PSF1 action. Hectic as it always seems to be. Logan, before we go, where can people find you on the old social media accounts?
I am Otaku Logan on YouTube. I am also on Twitter as 1644Logan. That's 16_44_Logan. All I go on about is funny stuff about Formula 1 and other sports. Like you like your darts, so do I. So that'll be fun to talk about. It's not that popular. It's only got like 600 followers.
Could be worse. Could be 4. So,
But you have
every
4?
time. No, I don't have 4. I said it could be 4.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Could be 4. If you're interested in what I'm doing, wilco.coms or wilco.darts on TikTok and Instagram. But thank you everybody for watching. Pleasure as always to bring this series to you. We head to North America next week for the Canadian Grand Prix. An exciting one, been on the calendar for so long. Bit of a classic, isn't it? And the racing can be quite hectic as well. Remember back to 2011, one of the most famous races of all time. And if we do have a bit of rain thrown in, or the 35 laps of that Canadian Grand Prix circuit, could be very, very exciting. Until then, thank you ever so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.